Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging headfirst into one of the internet's most intriguing, definitely complex, and often contradictory corners.
Absolutely.
We've sifted through a mountain of sources, everything from archived web pages, detailed community analyses, all focusing on one incredibly polarizing figure, Robert Louis Chipman.
Better known online as Moviebob or Game Overthinker.
Exactly. Our mission today is to pull out the most important insights, really help you understand the full scope of this truly unique online personality.
Yeah.
Get ready for some surprising facts and I think more than a few aha moments.
It's actually quite rare to get such a detailed look, such a granular view of how an online persona evolves over, more than a decade now?
Right?
The sheer amount of material on Chipman gives us this unique chance to see how personal beliefs, big world events, and, the dynamics of internet communities all kind of crash together.
We'll be connecting a lot of dots today.
Yeah, looking beyond just what he said, trying to grasp the why behind his impact on, the wider internet conversation.
So let's peel back the layers. Let's start at the beginning. Who exactly is Robert Chipman, and how did he become the Moviebob we recognize, or maybe don't recognize, today?
Well, our sources show him as a really early adopter of YouTube.
Yeah, making video reviews, right? Popcorn movies, he called them.
Mm-hmm. And commentary on gamer culture, often sporting some pretty distinctive costumes.
Yes. Definitely a signature of those early online video days.
His career really picked up steam with platforms like the Escapist and Screw Attack.
And you might remember his name from the whole 2014 Gamergate thing, that huge, messy debate about ethics and game journalism.
He was right in the thick of it.
Yeah, he got a lot of attention back then for his very vocal defense of developer Zoe Quinn, who was at the absolute center of that storm.
But if you really want a glimpse into maybe the formative years, the psyche, the sources really point towards his magnum opus, Super Mario Bros. 3, brick by brick.
Right. And this isn't just a game walkthrough, is it? It's described as this bizarre autobiography hybrid.
Which is fascinating in itself, right? How it just blurs the lines between the public persona and, very private revelations.
Yeah.
This isn't just a critic reviewing a game. It's someone embedding deeply personal, sometimes really controversial anecdotes right into his public work. That mix of autobiography and, frankly, fantasy. It gives you this powerful lens into the mindset that would later grapple with these big political and cultural shifts online.
It really suggests a kind of self-mythologizing going on right from the start.
Definitely. A foundational process.
And those anecdotes are, there's something. In Brick by Brick, you find stories of him, bullying other kids. And, maybe most strikingly, skipping his own grandmother's funeral to install an air conditioner.
Wow. Okay.
That's a very distinct set of priorities, yeah. And then there's his video, Building a Better Gamer.
Oh, I remember that one.
In it, he's criticizing gamers for things like poor physical fitness, cultural myopia, being defensive.
Right. But the irony, as the sources point out,
is that observers later applied those exact same criticisms directly back at him. It highlights this noticeable gap between his public advice and maybe his personal reality.
A real disconnect.
And then, for a touch of the truly surreal, there's this anecdote from a former friend, someone called James. Chipman apparently shared this dream he had. Shigeru Miyamoto, Mario's creator, appears in his house.
The actual Miyamoto.
In a dream.
In the dream, yeah. Resurrects his dog, gives him a magic sword, and tasks him with protecting children.
Right. Okay. Wow. A lot. According to James, this dream happened around the same time Chipman was reportedly raving about Encultra and how Activision caused 9/11.
So you've got this blend of pop culture icons, personal loss, heroic fantasy, and conspiracy theories all swirling together.
Exactly. It's certainly a unique peek into his internal world.
That anecdote is quite telling, isn't it? It suggests a mind really prone to these elaborate narratives, even fantastical ones, which then get tangled up with how he sees the real world. This merging of personal story, pop culture, and, sometimes conspiracy thinking. It becomes a key feature of his public identity.
And it connects to his background, too, right? His father was a newspaper man.
Yes. And that seems to have led Chipman to strongly identify as a journalist himself.
Which explains maybe his fierce defense of game journalists.
Often, regardless of the specifics, yeah. That self-perception seems really central.
Yeah.
And just on a personal note, the sources mention he reportedly lives with his mother in Lynn, Massachusetts.
Maintains this always online presence.
Yeah, with a really unusual sleep schedule, like 4 a.m. to 2 p.m. Boston time sometimes.
Wow. Okay, so moving on.
Yeah.
What happens when this unique personality collides with major political and cultural events?
This is where we get into Bobism.
Right, that's the term the sources use for his worldview. It's described as this peculiar mix of, like, internet activism, sometimes called SJ-wism, you know, that term for perceived over-concern with social justice.
Right, combined with some really unconventional ideas.
Yeah, and all framed by this very simple Sunday morning cartoons and Marvel movies view of the world. You know, clear good guys and bad guys.
And he, of course, sees himself firmly on the good side.
Naturally. And this worldview really profoundly shaped how he reacted to big political moments.
Right.
Take the 2016 U.S. election.
Oh, boy.
Sources describe a catastrophic mental breakdown after Trump's victory. He apparently attributed, quote, literally everything bad to Trump and his supporters.
And that intensity, that rage, it didn't just fade away, did it?
No, we're told it persisted, like, full force, even after Joe Biden won in 2020.
Then came COVID.
Right. Initially, he was demanding extreme measures, total lockdowns, talking about robots and the National Guard delivering supplies.
Almost utopian in a weird dystopian way.
But then, post-pandemic, he sort of rewrote history, denying any real lockdown happened while still blaming COVID for movie box office failures.
And that pattern is so key to understanding Bobism, isn't it? It's not a coherent political philosophy. It feels much more reactive, emotionally driven.
Totally.
And heavily influenced by that pop culture good versus evil thing. His stance on vaccines during the pandemic is a perfect example.
How so?
Well, initially anti-vax under Trump, then strongly pro-vax under Biden. His explanation, simply updating his stance according to the latest science.
Ah. Convenient.
Exactly. That selective outrage, the justification changing based purely on who aligns with his good guys versus bad guys narrative.
Yeah.
It's a recurring mechanism. Emotional allegiance just overrides consistency.
And the contradictions kept coming. Like when Dobbs overturned Roe v. Wade, huge outrage, obviously. He famously called a fetus a clump of cells.
Yeah, strong language.
But sources note his main focus wasn't really on women's reproductive rights, per se.
Oh, where does focus go?
He seemed more fixated on what he saw as panic among male transsexuals, about the end of democracy and the rise of so-called Christofascists.
Interesting redirection of focus there.
Very. And then there was the hashtag Drop Kiwi Farms campaign in 2022. Kiwi Farms, that forum known for, well, pretty nasty stuff like doxing.
Right, a controversial site.
Chipman was retweeting and echoing sentiments from certain online trans activist communities. And when the site was temporarily forced offline, he was openly celebrating.
Elated, apparently.
Yeah, and explicitly said he wanted similar things to happen to other non-persons, his term, who disagreed with him.
So not just disagreement, but actively wanting people deplatformed.
Seems that way. Later that year, Elon Musk buys Twitter. Chipman develops this deep animosity towards him.
He's furious about the layoffs.
Layoffs, the whole blue checkmark thing, which he saw as some conspiracy against journalists or trans people, and of course unbanning people with wrongthing.
Like libsoft TikTok Jordan Peterson. Figures he clearly saw as bad guys. What this really shows is an increasingly rigid ideological box, you know? Specific online events become these battlegrounds for his good versus evil story.
Right.
His reactions aren't about a nuanced take on policy or tech. They're filtered through this super personalized, almost tribal lens, like his opposition to AI rotoscoping as stealing art in 2023.
Until Disney did it.
Precisely.
Oh.
Then suddenly when Disney used the same technique for Secret Invasion, he rationalized it, claimed Disney was making a point.
Making a point by doing the thing he said was bad.
Exactly. It's that selective application of principles, totally based on his unwavering loyalty to certain brands. It perfectly shows how pop culture loyalty shapes his politics and ethics.
So speaking of those core beliefs, let's dig into the actual tenets of Bobism.
Okay.
He apparently envisions this globalist plutocracy run by Amazon, Disney, Boston Dynamics, you know, the big player.
Alongside a creative class aristocracy.
Right, where physical strength is obsolete. And he seems to have this really virulent disdain for manual labor.
Framing poor white people's struggles as What, moral feelings?
Yeah, like racism and homophobia being the reason they're destitute, in his view. And some of his proposals get pretty extreme, like intelligence testing to determine voter eligibility.
Wow.
And advocating for spreading social justice through military force, he literally pictured a rainbow flag on a drone bombing climate outlaw nations.
That's quite an image.
And then there's his infamous, quote, wishing, quote, eugenics has not been tainted by racists and Nazis.
Oh my, that's that.
Yeah. Coupled with repeated genocidal rants against people with the wrong politics.
So really extreme rhetoric.
On a more personal ideological level, he's strongly anti-Christian, attributes it to some unspecified trauma as an altar boy and his dog dying.
But maintains a respectful distance towards Islam.
Selectively, yes. He also believes in a kind of karma moral retribution and finds astrology more reliable than traditional spirituality.
Why astrology?
Because, quote, math is involved.
Math in astrology, right.
And you have to mention his unique vocabulary, terms like superior future.
Which involves jetpacks, moon trips, robot bodies.
Standard stuff. Then thinkers versus believers.
Liberals versus conservatives, basically, with engineers just LARPing as authentically smart people.
Got it. And the slogans. No bad tactic, only bad targets.
Chilling.
You are not a person. And dismissing things with X isn't a real thing.
That whole tapestry of beliefs and phrases, it reveals this attempt to build an intellectual justification around really emotional reactive positions, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The sheer number of contradictions, like wishing eugenics wasn't tainted while pushing social justice, it points to a system where personal grievance and feeling morally superior dictate everything. Not a consistent philosophy.
And that need to just dismiss opponents as not a person or not real?
It shows a real difficulty engaging with different views, just reinforcing his own echo chamber.
Okay, let's switch to pop culture. His passion there is obvious, but it's definitely not neutral.
It's not at all. Sources paint him as a staunch tribalist, fiercely loyal to some brands, intensely hostile to rivals.
It's like a lens for viewing the whole world.
Absolutely.
His devotion to Disney and the Marvel Cinematic Universe is, well, legendary.
Undying support is the phrase used. He even compared the MCU's output, its assembly line output, to Sophocles and Shakespeare.
Sophocles and Shakespeare.
And holds this quasi-mythological reverence for Kevin Feige.
So when Disney started struggling a bit in the early 2020s, the whole Disney downfall narrative.
He absolutely refused to acknowledge any internal problems at Disney.
Nope.
It was all external factors.
All external. COVID, streaming, strikes, China, anything but Disney itself. He dismissed the whole go woke, go broke critique.
Even when Bob Iger himself kind of admitted they might have been pushing messages too hard.
Didn't matter. It's like the ultimate fan defense mechanism kicked in.
And this isn't just about taste, right? This tribalism, it mirrors a wider thing in online culture where your identity gets completely tangled up with what you buy and which brands you back.
Yeah.
Pop culture becomes this battlefield for ideology. Figures like Moviebob define themselves by what they champion, and maybe even more, by what they hate.
That merging of identity, consumerism, politics, it can lead to a really rigid, uncritical view, can't it?
Totally. Entertainment just becomes an extension of your political self.
And his hatred for Disney's rivals is just as intense. Warner Bros. Especially.
Sees them as the arch rivals. Hates the DCEU, hates J.K. Rowling because of perceived transphobia.
Even filmmakers like Christopher Nolan and Denis Villeneuve. For Dune.
Yeah, dismissal and animosity. For a critic, that level of bias against the whole studio and its creators is pretty striking.
But the peak of that animosity has to be the Snyder Cut obsession.
Oh, definitely. He fought tooth and nail against the fan campaign for Zack Snyder's Justice League. First denied it existed.
Then equated the fans to, who was it?
Trump supporters, Gamergaters, Russian bots, and basically anyone on his bad guy list.
And sources say his hatred reached murderous levels when Snyder wouldn't work with James Gunn's new DC plan.
Yeah, because he saw the Snyder Cut's theme, Restoration of Faith, as completely against his own worldview. It became deeply personal.
A symbolic battle.
Exactly. And that feud really shows what happens when you blur critical analysis and personal identity. The Snyder Cut wasn't just a movie for him. It was a symbol of everything he hated.
Criticism stops being about the art.
Right. It becomes about ideological alignment. Objectivity just goes out the window.
He also has some surprising dislikes. Chris Pratt. despite being a huge MCU star.
Despises him, apparently, because of Pratt's Christian faith and alleged Republican donations.
And Timothée Chalamet.
For the crime of not doing superhero movies.
Right. Even Elon Musk, whose work might fit the superior future idea.
Nope. Contempt for Musk.
Uh-huh.
Perceived lack of noblesse oblige. Supporting Trump, Musk is firmly a bad guy.
And the ultimate irony. He famously believes fans are a hindrance to creative freedom.
Contrasting emotionally invested fans with the ideal placidly consuming audience. Tells creators, never listen to fans.
While being the most fervent, uncritical Disney fan imaginable.
That contradiction is just central, isn't it? He expects creators to ignore fans while he himself is the epitome of extreme fan devotion.
It really suggests his worldview is just there to justify his own biases, not offer consistent principles.
A fascinating, if deeply contradictory stance for an online critic.
Okay, let's shift to Moviebob, the critic, the feuds, the professional fallout. Because for someone who calls being a film critic his job, the reality of his work and conduct is quite something.
It's quite a ride, as the sources suggest.
His video production alone is described as worse than amateurish.
Green screen problems, audiovisual sync issues.
And that distinctive, sped-up, monotone delivery, often hard to follow.
And the reviews themselves, highly biased. Favoring camp, irrelevant mishmash, lots of snark.
And insisting franchises should never change tone. Like, Batman must always be comic.
Right. A prime example. Refusing to even review Fantastic Beasts. The Secrets of Dumbledore.
Because of J.K. Rowling.
Yeah. Perceived transphobia. He just urged a boycott instead. Which really illustrates that shift in online criticism, doesn't it? The review becomes less important than the ideological statement.
Boycotting based on the creator's views, not the work itself, criticism becomes activism.
And it raises big questions about the critic's role now. When does conviction override analysis? What does that do to your credibility?
Good question. And his general knowledge. Sources say his film knowledge outside blockbusters is non-existent.
In his ignorance beyond films, appalling. Confusing Dark Souls and Skyrim.
Claiming Halo is fascist propaganda against diversity, believing GTA-V is full of slurs.
It's quite a list. And his opinions could shift, right? Like on Nolan's The Dark Knight.
Yeah, reportedly changed his tune after his SJW superiors, as he put it, deemed it problematic. Shows a certain malleability based on ideology.
Professionally, it hasn't been smooth sailing either. Fired twice from The Escapist.
2015 for insulting gamers, 2020 for non-stop political hot takes. Both times he insisted not fired.
And he has a history of trying to get other people fired.
The Chipman brothers saga, trying to get podcaster Jack Allison fired over reading Brick by Brick.
Only for Allison to reveal he was his own boss and leak their DMs, that backfired spectacularly.
He also apparently tried reporting a 14-year-old for hate speech, and tried to mass report Mamology 101's YouTube channel.
These attempts to silence or deplatform opponents, they're really revealing. It shows this belief that people with wrong views shouldn't just be debated, but actively removed.
From online spaces, from their job?
Yeah, it's a shift from engagement to suppression. Really underscores the high stakes and power plays in these online feuds.
Another big drama involved critic Lindsay Ellis. She called him creepy, said she'd soft-blocked him loads of times.
Amid his response, a tweet described as borderline gaslighting, implying they were closer than she suggested.
Yeah, not a great look. And his writing style itself is unique.
Tortured euphemisms, sentences so dense with references nobody gets them.
Grammar issues, and the infamous broken stare jokes, or Mariuszka, layering obscure references until the joke just collapses.
You need a decoder ring just to follow along sometimes.
As for his circle, he has allies, right? Orbiters, or Bobby's Angels.
Like his brother Chris, Matt Pat, certain online trans activist followers.
But also prominent nemesis, Tucker Carlson, Glenn Greenwald.
And internet critics who actively parody him. Mahler, Nerdrotic, the critical drinker, they feast on his bad takes.
And finally, financially. Despite living with his mom and paying her mortgage, he's mentioned being eyeballs deep in debt recently.
Since mid-2024, yeah. While claiming only his intact moral sense stopped him taking hack jobs.
The full picture there. From the criticism to the feuds to the finances, it really shows how volatile internet fame can be.
It's a cautionary tale, isn't it? How personal convictions, however confused, drive both creation and conflict.
When those personal and professional lines dissolve online,
it can wreck your reputation, your credibility, even your financial stability. His story is a stark reminder of the unique pressures of living almost entirely online.
Wow. What a journey indeed. From those early YouTube days to being this, lightning rod for controversy, Robert Louis Chipman, Moviebob. It's a truly unique deep dive
into internet personality, tribalism, the real consequences of online actions.
We've unpacked Bobism, his fierce pop culture loyalties, the incredible string of dramas. Hopefully you've gained some real insights into online identity and commentary.
And if we connect it to the bigger picture, Moviebob's story isn't just about him. It's like a microcosm of the internet itself.
How echo chambers form.
Exactly. How public figures handle or totally fail to handle shifting cultural tides. How easily personal stories get twisted and weaponized.
This deep dive should leave you with a real sense of how complex, how contradictory the digital world is.
Yeah, and it makes you think, doesn't it? Like, what does this relentless watching and documenting of figures like Moviebob tell us about our own relationship with media, with information, and ultimately with each other online?